From Virginia, Mr. Forbes, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Director, thank you for being here. As my colleague, Mr. Gowdy, said, we hold you in high esteem for your expertise for serving in the U.S. Attorney's Office. And this committee works a lot on policy and trying to get policy correct. So let me ask you this question. If I have an individual that's speeding on our highways, should they be apprehended and charged differently if they have lived in the country longer than someone else, or if they go to school here, or if they have a job, or if they are pregnant, or if they have a serious health problem?
Should they be treated differently? No. That officer has discretion to give a ticket or not give a ticket.
But should they be apprehended and charged the same, whether they have one of those conditions or not?
That should not be a distinction with respect to an officer pursuing and making.
He should charge them and apprehend them the same way.
Recognizing their discretion. Police officers have discretion whether to give a ticket or not. I've never been the beneficiary.
Do they have the discretion based upon whether or not someone is pregnant to give them a ticket or not? Should they not give a ticket if that person is pregnant?
No one should be treated differently in that regard.
No one should be treated differently. And is that a basic theory of law?
Yes, we try to be fair and consistent.
Then tell me why that is different when you would suggest that you have prosecutorial discretion, that I could enter a blanket order or regulation that would say that anyone who was in the country longer or went to school here or had a job or were pregnant or had a serious health problem would be treated differently if they were speeding on a highway. And I think you would object to that, but let me go to another point. We have had testimony before this committee that as in some of our violent criminal gangs, as many as 85% of the members are here illegally. Would you agree that if someone was here illegally in this country and they were a member of a violent criminal gang, that they should be apprehended and deported?
Yes, sir, and that's actually part of Priority 1.
So you would agree with that. Then with all of the individuals, the criminal aliens that were released in 2013 and 2014, can you tell me how many of those were members of violent criminal gangs or members of criminal gangs at all?
I can't off the top of my head, but I'm certain.
Do you have that record? Do you have that information?
I am not sure, sir, but I will.
But you're just telling me as the director of ICE that it is a priority to get violent criminal gang members out of the country. That is one of your top priorities. And yet you're telling me you don't even know whether we have records of how many we released or did not release.
There may be a way to do it manually, sir.
No, that's not what I'm asking, Madam Director. You're coming in here today telling us that one of the top priorities you have is getting criminal gang members out of the country who are here illegally, but yet you can't even tell this committee that you have the data to tell how many of them you released back.
I can't give you that number. I suspect manually one can make that search and give you.
But you don't know whether you can do it
off the top of my head. I can't tell you what the number is, sir.
Madam Director, I'm not asking for the number. I'm asking, do you have any way of even telling which of the individuals you released in 2013, 2014, or you're releasing currently are members of criminal gangs?
I believe so, but it may require a manual search and a little time to come up with that number.
But right now you can't testify before this committee that as the director of ICE, you know whether you have a process of determining the criminal gang members that are being released by ICE back to the streets of the United States of America.
I believe that is the case, except I believe it would require a manual search. We don't necessarily have that we can pull up.
If you did the manual search, what would you search? How would you find
the files? The files, the A files.
The files that wouldn't necessarily be convicted.
If I may finish my answer,
sure,
sir.
Please.
The files in which we refer to them as an A file that has all the information, immigration information of a particular undocumented
But you're
immigrant.
looking back at a criminal record that may not show that they were convicted under being a criminal gang member. Do you have anything where you're asking these criminal aliens before they're being released if they were members of a criminal gang?
We don't just rely on the answer of a particular undocumented
but do you
immigrant.
Even ask?
We may ask, and we will rely on our investigative resources to find that out, sir.
But
it's not just accepting the word of a
But
person.
Can you tell this committee that you are at least asking?
Again, I can't tell you in every case.
But, Madam Director, my time has run up, but it bothers me tremendously when, as the director of ICE, you come in here and tell us one of your #1 priorities you basically don't have a clue whether you can do it, you are doing it, or how many you're releasing, and that's something that frightens all of us. And with that, Mr. Chairman,
I believe I answered otherwise, sir.
I think the record will show differently. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.